way to make money in creative real estate investing. Number one, I would say becoming what we might call a deal finder. This is a very quick way. I'm not going to say it's easy. Nothing is easy when it comes to making money. It ain't even easy to find a doggone job. So you know it ain't easy to be creative in real estate or in any industry. But what I will say to you, even though it's not easy, it is fairly simple to become a deal finder. So what do I mean when I say becoming a deal finder? Just that. You are an individual who's willing to take your sweat equity of the time that you have, the resources, the relationships, the connections, maybe some contact information that you have for people, and reach out to figure out, do you have anyone in your circle who is interested in selling a piece of real estate? All right? So if you're the deal finder, you're going to have to become, this is not a wholesaler. If you're the deal finder, I'm not talking about being a wholesaler. That's another level. What I'm talking about is being an individual who's willing to play the role of the liaison between somebody over here who needs to sell a house and then somebody over here who wants to buy a house. And you're going to become the common denominator. All right? Now, what are you going to have to do to become a deal finder? Well, most likely you're going to have to educate yourself on underwriting deals, comping properties. You got to know when a deal is good. And the truth is, you don't really have to get that good at it being a deal finder, because you're not an underwriter. You're not assuming the role of a wholesaler or an investor. You're just trying to find somebody over here who has a house or a piece of property that they want to sell, okay? And all you're trying to do is find somebody over here who has money or who has a desire to purchase real estate, and you need to connect those two. So here are some of the first steps I will give you if, in fact, you want to become a deal finder. And this can be quick money. This can be quick money. It can be very quick money, because a real estate investor can purchase a piece of property quick, within a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, depending on how complicated the deal is, if it's local or not. But it doesn't take long for a real estate investor to purchase a piece of property, okay? So what you want to do, here's how you become a deal finder. You want to put what we might call a buyer's list together. A buyer's list, okay? That means you want to start reaching out to real estate investors like Ramon Preston or RP Capital LLC. And what you want to do is you want to add me to your buyer's list. But you want to make sure, if you're adding me to your buyer's list, that you are finding out what type of real estate do I want to buy. Some people may call this a buy box. More professionally or bougie speaking, a buy box is an investment criteria that an investor has in order to purchase property. So my buy box or my investment criteria may be single family homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, at least 1,200 square feet in these top areas. Median price is this. So you're getting an idea of what my buy box is. So you want to have a buyer's list, and when you put that buyer's list together, you want to have a buy box. Now, why do you, as a deal finder, need a buyer's list? Because if you find sellers and you don't have a buyer, guess what? You may have found the deal, but you ain't gonna put it together. It ain't a deal until it's a seller and a buyer and a contract and a closing date. You know what I mean? Like, all that other stuff is for the birds. So again, you want to have a buyer's list. So you want to reach out to those investors and investment companies. And please, if you are looking at becoming a deal finder, You know you're not a wholesaler. You know you're not an investor. You know you don't have money to invest or credibility or experience. You don't have none of those resources. Don't waste this investor's time. Make sure you have your questions lined up that you need to ask that investor or someone on that investor's team. So in this case, if Ramon Preston and RP Capital is one of your buyers that you want to put on your buyers list, then that means you're going to reach out to my company. You're going to speak to one of my representatives, staff members, whoever answers the phone, and then you're going to let them know who you are. You're going to let them know what your intention is for the call, okay? And you're going to ask if you could get a buy box for what type of real estate properties I'm looking for. You may even ask, is it okay for me to add Mr. Preston and your company to my buyers list so that when a property comes up that meets your criteria, I can push it over to you, send you the information, and we can get deals done. That's how you create a buyer's list. But you want to be clear because you don't want to waste this investor's time, your buyer's time, and you definitely don't want to not have this information and then just send them all kind of stuff. You just finding properties and you just pulling stuff off the internet. You going to Zillow for sale by owner and Trulia, and you just sending me 20 different properties, and you know none of those properties fit my buy box. They don't fit my criteria, and they ain't really deals. Okay? So you want to put that buyer's list together. But then you may need to create some type of seller's list where you want to at least have some type of information form. So we call it a seller's questionnaire. Okay, so we have a certain form that we use, and this form gives us the ability to ask a potential seller certain key questions. Okay. If you want an example of what that questionnaire is, feel free to reach out to me and my team, and we will be more than happy to give you an idea of what that questionnaire looks like, okay? For our buy box, all right? Every investor is going to have their own buy box, and that means every investor may have a set of questions that they want answers for in order to pre-qualify this as a deal, all right? So now, if you have a list, if you have a seller's questionnaire, and you want to make sure, let me just put questionnaire right here. Okay, this may be a form. It may be a digital form, or it may be a physical form. In today's world, your questionnaire form may be digital, so that if you call somebody on your list and say, hey, Johnny, my cousin told me that you were thinking about selling your home. And Johnny says, yes, I'm thinking about selling my home. Well, Johnny, I am looking for a property that fits your criteria. I have buyers that I work with who could close fast and who may be interested in buying your home. Johnny's like, oh, wow, I'm interested. What do we need to do? Then that's when you may say, well, Johnny, let me get a little information from you. Okay, that's what my team would probably do. My team probably wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to send you a link, fill out the form. We ain't doing that because we want a deal. So my team is probably going to have Johnny on the phone and say, okay, well, Johnny, if you got a few minutes, let me ask you a couple questions. Okay, Johnny's like, yeah. You ask Johnny a couple questions. Make sure you have the address. Are you the owner? There are certain qualifying questions you're going to ask Johnny. Once you ask those questions and Johnny gives you the answer, now you can follow up with Johnny. In the meantime, if you're a deal finder, you can send that property to your buyer, and your buyer can look at the profile of that property to see if it fits their buy box and their criteria. And if it's a deal and you found the deal, guess what's going to happen once Mr. or Mrs. Investor buys the property from Johnny? Bada bing, bada boom. And guess what? How much credit did you have to use? Nada, zero. How much cash did you have to use? Zero. How many loans did you have to get? Zero. How much education did you have to have other than investment, creative investment education? You're going to need some education now. You're going to need some education because your knees will be like knocking if you don't have no education and you ain't got no people to help you. So does everybody understand how quick you can make money as a deal finder? Okay? So becoming a deal finder would be one of the quickest ways to make money in creative real estate investing. Now, the reason why I call this creative real estate investing, because it does not require a whole lot of the traditional resources that someone who's not creative may need. In order for this type of deal to work in a traditional or conventional way, you might need to be a real estate agent, okay? Or you might need to be an employee of a company that does real estate. With this, you can work a job and just on your days off, you're just looking for sellers. And you just have a criteria that you're looking for and you're building a buyer's list. Because any investor who's looking to buy property, they would love to give you their buy box, their investment criteria, especially when they ain't got to pay you to go out there and find deals. They're going to pay you based on the deal. They're not going to pay you before you get the deal. They're going to pay you based on you bringing them some properties and one of them or all of them or some of them turn into a deal. But becoming a deal finder is definitely a quick way to make money. Now, if you are just beginning in real estate and you really don't know your way around deal finding and becoming one, you probably want to put yourself in a community where you can start learning how to do that, all right? And don't just expect for this to just happen like within the next 24 hours if you don't know enough, because you're not going to have the competence, you're not going to have the confidence, you're not going to have the courage to get out there and do stuff. But this is a very, very valuable way for you to be able to make money quick as a deal finder. And basically the money that you make as a deal finder is traditionally referred to as a finder's fee. A finder's fee. Okay, it's not a commission. It's not an assignment fee like a wholesaler would get or a commission like a real estate agent. It's a finder's fee. You found the deal. You did your due diligence on the front end, and you created an opportunity for a seller to sell their property and a buyer to buy the property. All right. So a finder's fee is not going to be as much as a commission that a real estate agent would get. Sometimes it can be because, again, it is creative. Getting a real estate commission is not as creative as finding a deal and getting a finder's fee. But it's not going to be as much as a wholesale assignment fee, but at least it gets you in the game. And depending on the value of that deal, that can determine how you can create enough activity and regularity as a deal finder that puts you in a position to become a solid, successful wholesaler, or at some point, a solid and successful real estate investor or end buyer. All right. So that would be one of the quickest ways. All right. Let me give you another quick way. And I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but of course, number two, you can become a wholesaler. All right. Wholesaling is what a wholesaler does. So wholesaling, I talked about that, I think yesterday, because it is one of the creative real estate strategies that we encourage people to familiarize themselves with. But in order for you to be successful and effective wholesaling, you have to categorically become a wholesaler. And very similar conceptually, it is similar to a deal finder in that as a wholesaler, you are still in the middle between the person who wants to sell their home or needs to sell their home and the person who wants to buy the home. So just from a fundamental conceptual perspective, it is the same as a deal finder. So what is different? Like, what is the fundamental difference between a deal finder who gets a finder's fee and a wholesaler who gets an assignment fee? What I like to say is the difference between the two is one makes contacts. The other one creates contracts, okay? Just to kind of help you understand and wrap your mind around the fundamental difference. So a deal finder, they're just swapping contacts, all right? They're creating a buyer's list. They create a seller's list. They do some front end work to find people who want to sell, have people who want to buy, swap that information. So they're just swapping contacts, all right? The wholesaler, on the other hand, has to be more skilled, and I can safely say needs to be more sophisticated, because a wholesaler has to present a contract. So when a wholesaler is reaching out to, let's say, Johnny, who wants to sell the house, the wholesaler is not going to just find the facts out or fact find or get questionnaires filled out, but the wholesaler is going to have to underwrite the deal or comp the property to make sure that it makes sense. The wholesaler is going to have to negotiate the terms and get an agreement, which is a PSA, a purchase and sales agreement. And then once the wholesaler has the purchase and sales agreement, then the wholesaler is able to find the end buyer, because that purchase and sales agreement is where the money is, because it is assignable. So the wholesaler is going to assign the contract, but the wholesaler has to do more work up front, which means the wholesaler will get an assignment fee. But very similarly, the wholesaler needs to have a buyer's list. You definitely need a buyer's list, because if you are tying up deals with purchase and sales agreements, you do not want to become the guy or the gal who gets people under contract and then at the last minute you drop the contract because you cannot find a buyer. You're gonna be considered shady, shabby, ratchet, trifling, and any other adjective that you can come up with without cussing. And some people gonna use cuss words to describe you too. You don't want to be that kind of wholesaler. And again, nowadays, you really want to have an attorney that you talk with, that you consult. Depending on where you live, that's going to have a lot to do to determine how you're supposed to operate as a wholesaler. Some states are banning and outlawing wholesaling after a certain amount of deals. I'm not a wholesaler, so I can't speak on all the legalities of it, and I'm not an attorney. So I don't know. I'm not a legislator. But what I do know is there are some states that are banning and outlawing, and they're changing how wholesalers operate. And if I'm not mistaken, they're requiring wholesalers after maybe a couple transactions that they have to have some license, like a real estate license as an agent. And I don't know enough to speak on it, but what I do know is this is a quick way that you can make money. It just requires more work. So if you are a deal finder, you should not expect the same amount of money or the same payday as you would if you were a wholesaler, okay? Because one is going to push contacts, another one is going to push contracts. I hope so far I'm making sense with what I'm sharing today on the show. Please, if you have any questions, be sure to drop the questions in the comments. Let me know what you've heard so far that makes sense to you. And if it resonates with you, I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more because I think this is another quick way. Being a private money lender. You could be a private money lender. That's a quick way to make money. But the thing is, with being a private money lender, you have to have money. So there are some people who have money. I know people who got money, but they don't want to find deals. They don't want to wholesale. They don't want to be the end buyer. They don't want all the risk. All they want to do is just put their money on deals. They want to lend their money to the investor, and they just want a certain percentage of a return on their money. So that means if you have money saved, or if you have a retirement account that you want to create a self-directed IRA and use for investing in real estate to increase your retirement and to increase your savings very quickly, being a private money lender can actually help. So there are different aspects of a deal that you can lend on, okay? There can be some transactional aspects of that deal that you can lend on, or it can be the entirety of a deal that you lend on. That's going to be determined by what you and the investor agree on, okay? Whatever you and the investor agree on. However, if you got money that's saved up and it's sitting in a bank, the money that you can make as a private money lender is way more than what you can make at a bank. Most private money lenders can make anywhere between 8 to 10%. In some cases, you can make 12%, but typically it's somewhere between maybe 8 to 10, maybe 6 if you are investing with someone who really doesn't need your money, but they just want to get you in the deal. But let's just say hypothetically, if your private money lending only nets you 8% or 6%, well, the bank is not going to give you no 6% return, period. Banks ain't giving you no 6% return. A money market account ain't giving you no 6% return. And I know some people say, well, I can invest in stocks and bonds. Yeah, you can. Or I can invest in Bitcoin and crypto. Yes, you can. Be my guest. Ain't nobody telling you not to invest in that. But what I'm saying is people who want to get into real estate investing and they're looking for quick ways to make money in it, these are just ways that you can utilize. If you don't want to be a deal finder, you don't want to be a wholesaler, you can become a private money lender. There are people who have retirement accounts, 401ks, and those retirement accounts don't make a lot of money or enough money to satisfy what they have as a goal for their retirement, so they can they could have administrators or custodians set up IRAs, self-directed, and then they can use that money on real estate deals, and they secure that money. They secure that money and protect that money by deeds of trust and promissory notes. Basically, they become lien holders. They become lien holders on those properties. So when an investor has a piece of property and you become the private money lender on that property, there's going to be a lien put against that property until all of your money is paid, okay? So in the event this investor defaults on your money, you can actually foreclose and take ownership of that property, or at least control it, because you may not be the first lien holder on it. You may be the second or third lien holder, but either way, you have a lien holder position. You have a security instrument against it like any other bank or lender would. And if it's a retirement account, that money is going to continue to go into your retirement account and increase it. If it's your savings account, you're just going to get a good return on it without the risk. Because if I'm the investor and I have a property and you come in as a private money lender investing with me on this deal, but you're the private money lender, if I'm losing sleep at night because the tenants are not paying, or because, you know, the HVAC system went out, or because the tenants moved out and now I'm not getting rent for a couple months, that is not going to change the money you make. You don't get affected by that because you're not the investor. You're not a partner. You're a private money lender. So it's no different than when the bank loans somebody money to go buy a house and they rent that house out. If the tenants don't pay the rent, the bank is not affected. The bank's still going to send you that that notification that your mortgage payment is coming up on the 1st. You still got to pay it as the investor. But as a private money lender, you sleep good because even if the investor is not getting paid, the private money lender is. So I'm going to stop there. I just gave you 3 quick ways to make money in creative real estate investing. Again, if you don't know about this, if you're not familiar with any of this, well, you just have to make a decision. Is it worth me educating myself and learning? And you can do that for free on the internet in today's world, but you're still probably going to run into this lack of confidence and this lack of courage to pull the trigger to do any of those deals because you don't have the support of mentors and coaches and, more importantly, a community. So we've created a community of students, a community of mentees, people who are learning these strategies, people who are implementing these strategies. And here's the good thing. I'm a member of my community. I'm the leader of our community. And I don't teach and talk about anything that I personally haven't participated in or am not participating in. So I'm either doing it or I've done it or I'm working with people who are doing it. Either way, I understand the ins and outs of these principles and strategies that I'm talking about. So if you're interested in learning more and you want to be a part of our community, we have a millionaire mentorship program. It's a 1-year program, and actually we have it set up where you can pay monthly payments and you can cancel anytime. We actually set it up that way for 2024 because this year I've committed to help more people in my mentorship program, and I've added the real estate mentorship to my general mentorship just to make it easy and not to really challenge my current mentees to have to move into another program. So this year, we're doing everything in one program. We're teaching about holding companies, creative tax strategies, creative real estate investing, sales, marketing, systems, processes, leadership, everything that you would need to know to engineer $1 million company, including investing in real estate. We've added the courses and we've added the workshops and the weekly coaching calls and all the community support to this one program. And this program is actually half off. We're offering it for 50% of the price it was for the last 3 years. Okay, we had it set at a certain price for the last 3 years. I think we may have had a couple months, periodically where we discounted that price for certain times, and then we reverted back to the original price. But now, not only is it 50% off, but you can pay as you go, cancel anytime. So there's really no obligation to you other than for you to get in the program, start learning, show up for the weekly calls, come to our virtual or in-person workshops, learn as much as you can, find deals, make deals happen, and I'm making myself available. I'm making myself available to my mentees. So I've got people inside of my mentorship program now that are looking for properties, and when they find properties, they're coming to us either as deal finders, we're teaching them to be wholesalers, and ultimately investors and owners of real estate. But we want them to make some now money. And that may mean, okay, you can't buy and hold everything that you get. You might need to assign it to us or just move the information to us and let us put the deal together, and you get a fee and you go find another deal until you have enough money and momentum to do your own, and you're learning a lot in the process. So again, if you're interested in joining our Millionaire Mentorship Program, again, it's 50% off. It's 50% off, and you can pay as you go and cancel anytime. We're giving monthly installments to anyone who joins our mentorship program. That's how committed we are to helping people in 2024. Now, once this year ends, okay, we're reverting back to other prices, and we're going to separate our entrepreneurship coaching program from our real estate coaching. So now would be the time to get in. All right. So I look forward to hearing from you. All you have to do is call or text the word mentor to 678-276-8253 or 8556. Screenshot the number and give your boy a call. If you're serious about learning the ins and outs of creative real estate investing, all right? We've got courses, we've got workshops, weekly calls, and we've got an amazing community. Like, we have literally built our community out, and we're still building it out on our university training platform, where you could download the app. And if you have a question about a deal, if you have a question about your business, if you have a question about something you're working on with your systems or processes or a client, you can type the question inside of the community, and one of our community leaders or members will respond and give you the answer. Or in most cases, they will give you their number for you to call them so that they can assist you. All right. And our community leaders are all people who have been with me in my community for at least a couple years, at least maybe 3 or 4 years. And they all know a lot of what I know when it comes to holding companies, creative tax strategies, real estate investing, systems, processes, sales, marketing, because they've been around, they've learned this stuff. And a lot of them are starting to pivot into the real estate arena like I have been, and they're learning that part and they're starting to execute. So anyway, let us know how we can help you. Even if you're not ready or you're not sure if this program works for you, just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions, even if it's just to give you information. Like, we are business consultants. Yes, I'm a real estate investor. Okay. Yes, I coach and I have courses that I sell as a coach and as an educator, but I consider myself, more importantly, a business consultant, a financial consultant, a real estate consultant. The key word is consultant. And as a consultant, I lean more towards assuming a fiduciary role to make sure that if you have a question, that I give you an answer and I give you the right information to direct you for what best fits you, as opposed to me just trying to sell you a course or, talk you into getting into my coaching program. And I think that's one of the reasons why my wife and I have been so successful within the last 2 decades, because we always approach opportunities as consultants, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in business or finance. We always approach from that perspective, and we help that person determine what's best for you. Is a course better for you? Is a coaching program better for you? Is a consulting service better for you? Or is someone else better for you? Or something else better for you? Either way, we're going to get ours. We're going to survive, we're going to thrive, and we're going to succeed. But I don't want to live my life and continue to build my enterprise and empire knowing that I've stepped all over people just trying to get there. I want to help a lot of people and help them get where they're going while I get to where I'm going. So with that being said, I appreciate you all for joining the show. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. I shared with you 3 of the quickest ways you can make money in creative real estate investing. And if any of those ways are interesting to you and you want to learn more, you need support to make that happen, we're here. We can answer any question you have. Just call or text the word mentor to 678-276-8253 or 8556, and we will respond to you immediately. All right, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you on the other side.